Hey, middle school elective, it's Missy Worth. I'm making a little video today to talk to you about 3 components that I would like you to include in your drawings. We're still drawing from observation, and that means we're looking at an object or group of objects and drawing what we see. And so you want to think about the bigger shapes that you see first, then move to the details. It really requires the skill of looking and drawing and looking and drawing. And so as you're working, your eyes should be object, paper, object, paper. What do I see? Let me show you one thing about your pencil. You can use it as a measuring tool. And so if I am measuring, say, if I was doing a self-portrait, and I'm measuring the distance from my nose to my chin compared to my nose to my ear, okay? I want to find out how far is it from my nose to my chin compared to my nose to my ear. What I would do is I would hold out my pencil. I'm going to see if I can do this with a straight arm. And I'm holding out my pencil, and I'm going to put the end of the pencil at the top, which is sort of my nose, and then I slide my thumb to my chin. Okay, and that's giving me the measurement from my nose to my chin. Then I leave my fingernail right there. Then I can turn the pencil. Okay, it's about the same. The distance from my nose to my chin is about the same as the distance from my nose to my ear, because I can sort of see where that fingernail lines up, and I can check it again. And so your pencil can help you with those measurements, with those ratios, with those comparisons. How tall is your bag compared to how wide it is? I should have told you at the beginning of this little video, today I'd like you to do a quality developed drawing of your school bag again. So last week, sorry for the Wednesday, Friday confusion. Last week you did 4 sketches from 4 viewpoints. Today I want one well-developed, completed drawing. And it should be accurate to the best of your ability with the proportions. And that's why the pencil extended can help you figure out how wide parts are compared to how tall parts are. Also, holding out your pencil can help you see angles. So if I hold out my pencil and put it against the angle of my arm and then look at my pencil, that will help me understand that diagonal line. It's not quite straight. It's not horizontal. What is that diagonal angle? And so your pencil certainly is your drawing tool, but you can also use it to see how shapes and parts relate to each other by just putting that pencil across them with an arm extended. The reason you don't bend your elbow, the reason you extend your arm is because when it's extended, it's more fixed. If it's bent, it's another component to figure out. Okay, so in a well-developed drawing, you want accurate proportions. How do you get those? Well, one of the ways is using your pencil as a tool to help you see how things line up, how they compare in size. Okay, so proportions is one component. The next component I'd like to talk to you about and show you is something called line variation. Okay, so the idea behind that is that your lines are a very expressive part of your drawing. Lines can have different weights to them, which could give your drawing a visual weight. And so with line variation, I'm going to see if we can figure this out here. As I'm drawing the bottom of that bag, so this is again just sort of getting my bag, my school bag onto my paper. Okay, and I would be looking at that object. Here I'm just sort of drawing it from memory, but I would be looking at that object and seeing, okay, where the different parts are, where the components are. And then once I sort of have those parts and components, and you can pick any point of view for your bag that you would like. I'm going to sort of decide, okay, which lines need to be the most important and make those lines the heaviest or the darkest. Notice I haven't erased anything yet. Even this line down here, I'm not sure if you can see it, which is wrong. I'm just going to leave that in there. Generally, you're going to increase your line weight, that means the heaviness of the line, in shadowy places or where there's a change of direction. So here, this line was going horizontal, then it changed direction. This tends to be a good place to increase line weight. I know that a lot of your school bags have small details like stitching and zippers. You could include that. However, it seems best to leave it just as a line with a small bit of light detail. So line variation does not mean that all of your lines are heavy. It means that some of them are. And it's a little bit different than creating shadow. You're actually strengthening or darkening the line. It also allows you to control how your viewer sees the image or the whole composition, because our eyes do tend to go to those darker areas first. And so these lines in here are lighter. The lines at the bottom are a heavier line. That's a little bit of line variation. Okay, so you're thinking about proportions, line variation. Something else to put in the back of your brain or to begin to explore today in your well-developed drawing of your school bag is value range and mark making. Okay, let me show you both of those. Right now, my bag does not have much value range because it's primarily a linear drawing. That means it's just lines. But as I'm thinking about the shadow places and the highlights, I'm going to create some value range. And just like with my line variation, I'm not going to make the whole thing the same kind of gray, but I'm going to think about highlights and shadows, and I'm going to try and include a wide range of dark and light values in my drawing. Here's a little, maybe there's a little bag over here to put a water bottle in or something. And to add my value, I'm just using my pencil. It's a little bit different though than just coloring it in gray. And I'm doing something you can see here with my pencil. It's actually called mark making, where I'm making marks in my work. It sort of looks like a controlled scribble. This is going to bring some energy into my bag because I'm not just shading it in one direction. And so to create value range, those dark areas and light areas, I'm going to do that by something called mark making. So it's a little bit looser than just regular shading. It's a little bit more dynamic than cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is where you draw lines this way, then draw lines this way. That's another way to create value or shadow. Notice I'm holding my pencil in the middle to get some loose lines. And as I continue to build this up, you can see I'm working here in this area. It's going to create some value, some dark areas, some light, which then also creates some light areas. And I would be looking at where in my bag are those darker areas, where are the highlights, where are the shadows. But I also want to be aware and not create what I sort of call like a coloring page drawing. That means where all of my lines are really dark and all of my value is sort of lightly filled in evenly. In fact, where I have those darker lines is where I want to build up my value. Let me bring my paper down so you can see the top a little bit. So again, where I have a darker line, I want my value to go sort of from those light areas into the darker areas. So that again, it's not an outline that's colored in, but that value really comes into that dark line. As far as shadow goes, if I'm going to add shadow because my bag is sitting on something, I want those lines to be horizontal to the floor or to the tabletop that it's sitting against. Here's a little tag. And again, I haven't drawn all 400 zippers, right? Maybe I'm just drawing one as a line that comes across. If I want to put a few little stitch marks in, I can, but those details should be less than the more important parts. Okay, this video is getting a little long. So, a couple things to think about. Proportions, line variation, value range, mark making. Don't forget to set your object on something, even if it's just a few horizontal lines. Okay, here's a quick drawing of a bag. Can't wait to see your great drawings. And on Friday, we'll pick another object. And just pay attention whether it's a sketch, whether it's sketches or a full drawing. Have a fantastic Wednesday and all the best.